Property prices around the country continue to rise, but there are still some houses that are selling well below the asking price.
They're houses with horror pasts, like the home of Australia's worst serial killer, Ivan Milat, which was snapped up at the bargain price of $660,000 this week. Take a look.
There's the truth and the truth. Let me show you.
It's awfully small.
I'd say it's awfully cozy.
That's dilapidated.
Rustic.
That's a beauty.
Forget about that house. That's the murder house.
It's frighteningly cheap real estate, homes that sell at a discount because of their dark pasts. Like serial killer Ivan Milat's Eagle Vale home, which was this week sold for $660,000, 55 grand below the asking price. According to the real estate agent, the lucky bidders weren't put off by the fact that this was Milat's home when he was famously arrested 22 years ago. The four-bedroom property spent only 3.5 weeks on the market before it was snapped up. And why wouldn't it be? Described as a stress-free haven, the house has undergone quite the facelift since Milat bought it back in '92 for a measly $50,000, now boasting contemporary interiors and an outdoor entertainment area, even an attic above the garage for extra storage. But Milat's house isn't the only one to fall short of sale expectations. In April, the New South Wales Beauty Point home of the infamous granny killer sold for well under the asking price of $4.1 million. 4 years ago, the home where 5 members of the Lynn family were brutally killed also sold for well below value. And who could forget the North Ryde property where Seth Gonzalez brutally murdered his family in 2001. When it hit the market, 2 unaware purchasers put down a non-refundable deposit but quickly changed their minds when they learned the truth. In a landmark case, the agent was forced to give their money back and the property went on to sell for $80,000 less than what the other owners were willing to pay. Now that's a killer deal.
For more, we're joined by domain property expert Stu Benson. Morning to you, Stu.
Good morning to you both.
Many people, I suppose, would think, well, there's a difference between a house where a murderer has lived and a house where murders have occurred.
Correct.
What are the rules about disclosing the history of a house?
Look, the Australian property landscape doesn't have one act or one rule that covers every single state and territory, so the guidelines are a little bit different from state to state and from territory to territory. There seems to be a general underlying theme of full disclosure, which is which can be tricky if it's not disclosed to the real estate agent. A lot of the time, a vendor might be unaware of a past history that is attached to the property, and if something happened 20 years ago, it may simply have fallen out of the conversation.
Yeah.
How much harder is it to sell these properties when something like this has happened? Are buyers keen to get a bargain? Can you make much money out of it?
Well, absolutely. If you've got a property that is going to market and the market is relatively tough to get into for perhaps a first home buyer or a young family, and all of a sudden they see this listing that is significantly lower in asking price than other properties, it is going to be a good opportunity. It really comes down to their individual circumstances, their beliefs, their religion, what's going to stop them from making an offer, but also if they are going to feel comfortable ultimately living in that property for what could be a long period of time.
In terms of resale, is it a good investment? Because you're not ever going to be able to shake that, are you?
Well, some of the time, you're talking about a murder or something that happened in the property that could, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. So that's why there's a lot of grey area as well around the disclosure, because do you talk about something that happened 50, 60 years ago in a property? At what point do you renovate? Do you change the layout? Do you just simply move on from the fact that there have been 3 homeowners in between? This could be the home for you.
I mean, new carpet will probably help in most cases. Stu, there might be, I would imagine in the States, for example, Ange, there'd almost be a property, a market for people looking for these macabre elements to a property.
Almost like a tourist thing, people that drive around.
Yeah, and particularly famous, maybe celebrities who have passed as well, that a lot of people might love to say to friends and family that we live in such and such's house.
Yeah.
So again, depending on
I was chatting with Bob Hope's ghost just last night.
The other night.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, terrific. All right, Stu, thanks very much.
No worries, thanks for having me.